Your heater isn't your backup plan, because in a real winter outage, most heating systems still need electricity for the fan, ignition, or controls. When the grid drops, the winning move isn't trying to heat the whole house. It's shrinking the space, sealing the leaks, stacking insulation the right way, and warming the person safely. In this video, I'll show you how to set up a one-room warm zone fast, what cheap supplies actually matter, and the biggest mistakes people make, especially the ones that create carbon monoxide danger. Let's get into the setup that works when the power doesn't. Number 1. Heat loss is the real problem. When the power goes out in winter, most people immediately think, I need a heat source. That's understandable, but it's not the fastest way to get safe warmth. In a typical home, heat escapes in 3 main ways: air leaks, drafts, direct contact with cold surfaces, like windows and exterior walls, and heat radiating toward colder objects, especially glass. If you try to heat the house, you're fighting all 3 at once across a huge volume of air, and you'll lose that battle fast. The better approach is to shrink the problem. Warmth is not just how hot your heater is. Warmth is how much heat you can keep from leaving the space you actually live in. A furnace, baseboard heat, and most electric heaters are designed to work with the grid running, and the house sealed the way it normally is. During a winter outage, that setup often fails you. Forced air systems can't run without electricity, even if the fuel is available. Space heaters become useless without power, and trying to improvise with indoor flames can create carbon monoxide or a fire hazard. So the mindset shift is simple. Don't chase maximum heat. Chase minimum heat loss. Every crack you seal, every layer you add, every bit of air volume you stop trying to warm gives you time. Time is the resource you're really buying in a winter outage. And time is what keeps a stressful situation from turning into a medical problem. Number 2. Pick one room and commit. The fastest safe win is choosing a warm room. This is not about comfort. It's about controlling the size of the space you're responsible for. Smaller rooms are easier to keep warmer because there's less air to heat and fewer surfaces losing heat. A good choice is usually a small bedroom or an interior room with the fewest windows. If you have kids, pets, or anyone who needs extra help staying warm, keep everyone together in that one room. Close off the rest of the house, shut doors, block hallways if you can, and treat unused rooms like unheated storage. This does 2 things. First, it reduces the amount of warm air your body has to pay for. Second, it reduces the amount of cold air that can circulate back into your space. If you want a simple way to think about it, imagine you're trying to fill a bucket with water while there are holes in it. A bigger bucket with more holes is a losing game. A smaller bucket with fewer holes is manageable. Once you've chosen the room, set it up like you mean it. Move in water, snacks, medications, charging banks, flashlights, and whatever sleeping gear you have. If you have a battery-powered thermometer, bring it so you're not guessing. And keep a clear path to the exit, because safety still matters more than comfort. This room becomes your controlled environment, while the rest of the building can drop in temperature without putting you at immediate risk. Number 3. Stop drafts like your life depends on it. Drafts are a big deal because moving airstrips heat quickly. You can have 5 blankets and still feel cold if air is leaking in around a window frame or under a door. Start at the bottom. The gap under the door is often the biggest leak in your warm room. Roll a towel, sweatshirt, or spare blanket tight and press it along the base of the door. Next, check windows. If you can feel cold air with your hand near the edges of the frame, you've found a leak. The easiest beginner-friendly tools here are painter's tape, duct tape, and plastic sheeting. Even a cheap drop cloth. You're not building something fancy. You're just creating a barrier that slows airflow and adds a thin trapped air layer. If you have curtains, close them. If you have extra blankets, hang them over the curtain rod to create more dead air between you and the glass. Cold windows also pull heat from you through radiation, so covering them helps even if the window isn't leaking. Don't forget outlets on exterior walls. They can leak cold air too. If needed, you can loosely cover them with tape or a folded cloth, but keep it simple and don't overload anything electrical if power flickers back on. The goal is not perfection. It's a quick reduction in air exchange. Once drafts are under control, you'll notice the room feels calmer, less of that cold bite that hits you in waves. That's a sign you're winning the air leak battle. Number 4, build a room inside the room. After drafts, the next upgrade is reducing the space even further by creating a smaller nest inside your warm room. This works because trapped air is an excellent insulator when it's not moving. You can do this with bedding and blankets. Set up a sleeping area away from windows and exterior walls, then use blankets to create a partial canopy or a tent over the bed area, leaving enough space to breathe comfortably and avoid anything touching lamps or electronics. This isn't about looking nice. It's about creating an insulating air pocket around where your bodies will be. If you have a spare sheet, a couple of chairs, and 2 blankets, you can make a basic shelter that holds in warmth much better than an open room. Also pay attention to what's under you. Cold floors pull heat through contact, especially tile, hardwood, or concrete. Put down rugs, extra blankets, sleeping pads, foam mats, anything that breaks the direct contact between your body and the floor. If you have sleeping bags, use them even indoors. A sleeping bag is basically a portable insulation system designed for exactly this problem. It traps warm air close to you while slowing heat loss to the environment. If all you have are blankets, layer them with the fluffiest ones on top to trap more air. Another detail that helps is reflecting heat back toward you. Emergency blankets, the thin reflective ones, can help as a lining layer, but they can also trap moisture and feel clammy, so use them as part of a system, not as your only blanket. The big idea stays the same. Reduce the warm volume from an entire house to one room to one sleeping zone. That's how you stretch limited heat the longest. Number 5, keep your body warm the smart way. In a winter outage, the most reliable heat source you have is your own metabolism. An adult at rest gives off roughly the same heat as a small light bulb, and 2 or 3 people together add up. That won't heat a whole house, but it can make a real difference in a well-sealed small space. The key is protecting your core, your chest, back, and head, because that's where your body prioritizes warmth. Start with clothing layers. A base layer that stays dry is important. Moisture is the enemy because wet fabric pulls heat away fast. Add a middle layer for insulation, fleece, wool, puffy jacket, and an outer layer if you need it to block drafts. If you're moving around and sweating, you're making a mistake because sweat will cool you later. Slow down, do less, and keep clothes dry. Put on a hat or a hood. People often underestimate how much warmth you lose through your head and neck because those areas are usually uncovered indoors. Wear warm socks, and if you have them, wear slippers or shoes to avoid direct contact with cold floors. Gloves can help, but don't obsess over fingers and toes while your core is cooling. If your core is stable, your hands and feet do better. For sleeping, don't spread out your warmth across the bed. Tuck blankets in, reduce open gaps, and keep your sleeping setup tight. If you're sharing a bed with family members, sleeping closer can improve warmth, but you still want everyone to breathe comfortably and sleep safely. Keep pets in the warm room too, because they both need warmth and add warmth, but make sure they have their own blanket area and water. Number 6, food and water are part of staying warm. Cold makes your body burn energy faster, especially if you're shivering. That's not a motivational phrase, it's basic biology. Your body will spend calories to maintain core temperature. So during a winter outage, eating is not just nice, it's functional. Prioritize easy calories that don't require cooking. Peanut butter, nuts, trail mix, granola, crackers, shelf-stable protein, and anything you can eat in small bites throughout the day. If you have kids, keep snacks steady because they lose heat faster than adults. Hydration matters too. Dehydration reduces circulation and makes it harder to regulate temperature. Drink water regularly. Warm drinks can improve comfort, but the bigger win is simply staying hydrated. Avoid alcohol as a warming hack. Alcohol can make you feel warm because it changes blood flow, but it can actually increase heat loss and reduce good decision making. 2 things you don't want during an outage. Caffeine is fine in moderation if you're used to it, but don't rely on it as a heat tool. Another practical point, If you have the ability to warm water safely before the power goes out, like if you get a warning, do it and store it in insulated containers. But if power is already out, don't take risks trying to improvise cooking or heating methods indoors. Warmth is helpful. Smoke, fire, and toxic fumes are not. Think of food and water as fuel and maintenance that help your body do its job. When the environment is cold, your body is working overtime, and you need to support it. Number 7. Use stored heat safely. If you want extra warmth without relying on electricity, the safest general concept is stored heat, not open flame. Hot water is a classic example because it can hold a lot of heat and release it slowly. If you have hot water available, from a still warm water heater early in an outage, or from safely heated water, you can fill a sturdy hot water bottle or a tightly sealed container that can handle heat. Wrap it in a cloth so you don't burn your skin and place it near your core, like against your torso or near your lower back, rather than trying to heat the room. This is personal heating, not space heating. The same idea applies to commercial hand warmers. They're designed for warming hands and pockets, and they can help keep comfort up if used as directed. The caution here is basic, but important. Anything that gets hot can cause burns, especially for kids, older adults, or anyone who falls asleep with it pressed directly against skin. So always use a cloth barrier and position heat sources thoughtfully. Another stored heat approach is simply using insulating containers to keep warm items warm longer. Thermoses, insulated coolers. Yes, coolers keep heat too. And layered towels. If you have a way to recharge a small battery bank, or you already have one charged, you can use it to run small, low-power items like LED lights, or a small fan only if you have a safe, vented heat source already operating. And that's a big if. The main point is that stored heat is predictable and controllable. Open flames and fuel-burning devices add risks you can't always control, especially when people are tired and visibility is low. Number 8. Avoid the obvious mistakes that get people hurt. During winter outages, many injuries and emergencies come from indoor fire and carbon monoxide, not from cold itself. Carbon monoxide is especially dangerous because you can't see or smell it, and it builds up in enclosed spaces. The rule is simple. Never use outdoor cooking equipment indoors, and never use a stove, grill, or oven as a heater. Also, never run a generator inside the home, inside a garage, or near open windows. Generators belong outside, far from the building, with exhaust pointing away, and you still need to follow the manufacturer's safety directions. If your home has any fuel-burning appliance, fireplace, wood stove, gas heater, anything that vents, make sure it's properly vented and in good condition. If you don't already know how to operate it safely, a power outage is not the time to learn by guessing. If you have a fireplace, use a screen, keep flammable materials well away, and never leave it unattended. For candles, keep expectations realistic. Candles don't produce enough heat to safely heat a room, and they create an open flame fire risk. If you use any candle at all for light, place it on a stable surface away from anything that can catch fire, and put it out before sleeping. A carbon monoxide detector with battery backup is one of the most important items for winter preparedness, because it gives you a warning you can't sense yourself. If anyone develops sudden headache, dizziness, nausea, confusion, or unusual fatigue during an outage, and you have any chance of carbon monoxide exposure, get to fresh air immediately and contact emergency services. That's not overreacting. That's basic safety. The goal is to stay warm without creating a second emergency that's harder to survive than the cold. Number 9. Protect the house without sacrificing your warm room. While you're focused on staying warm, the building itself can take damage from freezing. The big one is pipes. If your home temperature drops too low, pipes can freeze and burst, turning a cold week into a long repair. You don't need to obsess over every detail, but a few simple moves can help. If you know a deep freeze is coming and you're facing an outage, keep cabinet doors open under sinks to let warmer air reach plumbing, especially if those pipes are on an exterior wall. If water service is still running, a very small trickle from the most vulnerable faucet can sometimes reduce freezing risk. But this depends on local conditions and water availability, and you don't want to waste water if supply is uncertain. If your home has a known weak spot, like an uninsulated crawl space or a garage pipe run, acknowledge that early and plan around it. If you can safely shut off the main water supply and drain lines in a prolonged outage, that can prevent major damage, but only do what you understand and can do safely. Also think about humidity. When a cold house meets warm breath in a closed room, condensation forms on windows and cold surfaces. That moisture can lead to frost and dampness. It's one more reason to keep your warm room controlled. A smaller, better managed space is easier to keep dry and comfortable. Keep your phone charged, conserve battery by using low power mode, and store a headlamp in the warm room so you can move safely without candles. If you have to move around the house, do it with purpose, then come back to the warm room and close it up again. The warm room only works if you keep it sealed most of the time. Number 10. Build the $75 winter outage kit the right way. If you're starting from zero, focus on gear that supports the strategy you've already read. Reduce space, stop drafts, insulate your body, and avoid dangerous heat sources. A beginner-friendly kit can be simple: plastic sheeting or window film, painter's tape or duct tape, a door draft stopper, or just plan to use towels, a few heavy blankets, at least one warm sleeping bag if you can afford it, warm socks and a knit hat for each person, a basic foam sleeping pad or camping mat to insulate from the floor, a battery headlamp, spare batteries, and a power bank that stays charged. Add a battery carbon monoxide detector if you have any combustion appliances, or you might be near them during an outage. For food, stash a few days of no-cook calories that you actually like and will eat. For water, store enough for drinking and basic needs, plus a way to pour and measure it easily. If you want to upgrade without getting complicated, add a small indoor safe thermometer, a simple first aid kit, and a plan card with key phone numbers and local emergency info written down, because phones die. The most important part of the kit is not the items themselves, it's where they live and how fast you can use them. Keep the ceiling materials together. Keep the sleeping and floor insulation together. Keep lights and batteries together. When the outage hits, you don't want to hunt through closets in the dark while the house cools down. And if you live with family, make sure everyone understands the plan. Which room becomes the warm room, where the supplies are, and what the safety rules are around flames, generators, and anything that produces fumes. The whole point is to make the first hour simple. Close off the space, block drafts, set up the sleeping zone, get everyone layered and hydrated, then settle into conserving heat instead of chasing risky, quick fixes.